WRKS Pickens Jackson.
You ready?
Let's go!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now live in the Bank Plus studio, where college football meets the all lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming around the world live at the Out of Bounds radio app and on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
Where are you?
The Zone.
Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Brought to you by Went McGee, the Mortgage Man, mortgagemanms.com. And the Ram trucks, pre-owned and new at Mack Hike in Flowood. David Johnson, inside the Rebels, joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line, 247 Sports. Transfer portal mania, baby. David, give us the top 2, 3, 4 targets in the transfer portal for Lane Train and the staff.
Yeah, man, I think I would start with a wide receiver, and that being Ra Thomas from Mississippi State. I think Ole Miss, as well as a large portion of the rest of the country, would like Ra to come there and catch footballs. But, I think when you talk, transfer portal right now, that's the guy you're talking about. There's a couple of defensive linemen out there. Andre Carter from Western Michigan. Braden Fisk from Western Michigan. Also the Shan kid from Arizona. So, it's kind of funny to say we're 2 days into the portal stuff, but Bo, it's really too early, I think, to know exactly the targets they're honing in on, because the net is so wide right now.
Yeah.
In terms of so many kids in the portal and so much to choose from, and there's a little bit of a feeling out process going on.
Fair enough. So Ra Thomas is getting courted by Ole Miss, Georgia, Auburn. Is that it, David?
No, he's got a lot of other offers as well. Some G5 schools and everything. I think you can narrow it down to he's going to go to somebody in the SEC. Personally, I think it's probably going to boil down to Ole Miss and Georgia, and Ole Miss in this thing because of the success story that his former teammate Malik Heath that hit the portal found in Oxford.
Interesting. I can't believe that Georgia's going after Ra, but he's a good player, far from special or elite. But I guess, if the demand is there, then it's there. All right. So what about who could be other than Altmaier, and he's a nice depth piece behind Dart, because you don't ever know when your starting quarterback could take a shot. Other than Altmaier, concerns about anybody else leaving?
Yeah, definitely. There are some good young players on the list of guys who have hit the portal. Damon Clowney. We watched him all through fall camp, and, he played a little bit of edge. He played a little bit of linebacker, and he played them well. And, you kept waiting for him to get his opportunity in this three-man front Ole Miss played all year, and it really never came. I think Clowney has a lot of juice left in him, and I think somebody's going to get a heck of a player with him. Brandon Mack also hit the portal, another edge guy. So some concern there. Kentrell Bullock, Isaiah Woolard, look, both of those guys are going to be very fine running back somewhere at some G5 program. They were just behind the 8 ball here, too much talent in front of them, and they weren't going to get on the field. And then, one area I think you have to look at right now that's really in flux for Ole Miss is the offensive line. And you had Eric Cade and Tobias Braun, two promising young freshmen who got in the portal as well. And both those kids are tackles, and they look in front of them, and Ole Miss started 2 freshman tackles this year, Bo. And, their road to playing time just didn't appear to be there. But all of a sudden, you need to go out and pick up some offensive linemen, either from the portal or the high school ranks over the next couple of weeks here, just for depth purposes.
Okay. How many guys, where would you put the over-under as far as transfer portal guys for Kiffin and the staff?
I'd put it at 11. 11 would be a good over-under number. I think they'll hit over that a little bit, probably 12 guys, if everything falls into place. And look, it's probably going to take all the way until the end of the spring portal window for those 12 spots to be full. But, I think you're looking at about 11 or 12.
David Johnson, Inside the Rebels on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Okay, what about Zach Evans? Do you think he'll play in the – he's going to the NFL, right? So do you think he'll play in the bowl game, or he'll go ahead and head out, or is he announced?
Well, I don't think Zach has announced one way or the other yet. So I think he's going to go to the NFL, but I also think he's going to play in the bowl game. Zach needs to use that as a showcase game, if you will, to further sell teams, I think, on the skill set. But I fully expect him to play in the bowl game. I also fully expect him to hit in the NFL draft. So I don't think he will be back next year. I could be wrong. There's some talk out there that he's listening and talking to people at the Grove Collective right now about some kind of deal that would bring him back. And, that's serious money. And a lot of times, maybe it's best to stay in college and take that collective money than to go as a late pick. So it's really the first time we've had to kind of deal with that in terms of, colleges having a seat at the table when it comes time for a kid to decide, hey, am I going to go pro or am I going to come back? If I come back, maybe I can up my stock and I can make just as much money. So, we're just going to see what happens with all that.
Okay, how will the backup quarterback position look behind Jackson Dart? How do you see that unfolding?
That's a great question. And we're talking about for next year. That's what you're asking?
Yeah, for next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're going to have Marcel Reed in here as a true freshman, and Marcel would be coming in January, so he would have a spring practice under his belt. But look, that's a very iffy proposition, right? So you want to fix that if you can, but the difficulty is I've got Jackson Dart, who is probably going to be back for not only the 23 season, but the 24 season. So I've got to go find a portal quarterback that is willing to come in here and back a guy up that, I'm not going to wait him out. So, I don't know. Right now it looks like it's going to be Marcel Reed.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. We'll do more high school next week. Thanks, David Johnson. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, man. Bye.
David Johnson, Inside the Rebels, 247 Sports. And he joined us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Little transfer portal update. Some concern on some edge rushers and offensive linemen leaving Oxford. And their number one target is Ra Thomas. I would have never thought that Ole Miss would be poaching Mississippi State wide receivers. That's where we are now. Georgia in the hunt, and we'll see what all Auburn does too. Can you imagine if they land Sanders from Oklahoma State? Back in a second.